what better way to do an intro to their video than them winning again. Lee Faulk Racing wins again. Hope you guys like this video of them. We're at Ace Speedway, another great night. Thanks to everybody supporting PRW Chassis Performance Center. Really appreciate all the help, all the great business. We've been having such a good time. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, we're back. Another episode. Hopefully I did some cool intro that you guys like. We all have a beer. Maybe you could sit down and have a beer with Michael Faulk and Shady, a.k.a. Nick Hughes. Nobody knows his real name, just Shady. They're from Lee Faulk Racing. They've been a big supporter of ours for the last 10 years. Actually knocking them dead right now. I think they're the only owner to win 2 Carcer races with 2 different drivers so far this year. Have had a great program for a long time, continue to have a great program year over year, which is what's baffling about a program with young kids that continue to go through. And I conned them into coming up here and hanging out with me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard. The alternative was working. So
you decided to do that. Yeah. I'm glad we got Shade in here with us. We don't get him out very much.
Yeah, Shade getting some love on the podcast today.
That's it.
He's kind of behind the scenes guy. He don't like too much attention, but I made him come.
That's awesome.
It was either come here or golf.
Oh, wow, that was tough.
We'll golf tomorrow.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Fresh off your Cars Tour win in dramatic fashion. I mean, you guys have had a couple really good ones this year, and like at the end, you're like, wow, that was amazing that happened. You know, kind of that keep digging mentality you guys have. To tell us about it. I mean, what did you think? What did you think 15 to go?
We actually were spotting next to each other, me and Shady, on the spotter stand, and I looked at him. I said, "You need a caution?" He's like, "No, I don't. I don't think
we're good. Yeah, we're good."
And I looked down at the deal, and we were kind of joking about it at first. And honestly, I didn't think he was going to catch him. You know, I don't think anybody really thought he was going to catch him, including Shady.
Yeah.
And we were looking, and he was 3 or 4 tenths faster than Timmy. And you know, even if you get to those guys, it's like you still got to pass them. You know, so and obviously Nolan did a great job conserving tires there, and he had a good car. Probably could have run up front anyway all night, but that's neither here nor there. The track was really abrasive. The pavement looked similar to Myrtle Beach, so we just figured, let's save a little bit. They had the competition cautions and everything coming, so there was really no reason to push it. And he had a good enough car to roll around the bottom, and everybody got tight, had to move to the top, which made it really difficult for Timmy to hold him off, and he pulled it off. Last corner, it was awesome, man.
That's all it takes, right?
Best, most exciting win for us and as a team, and definitely Nolan's biggest win as a driver and Shady's first Cars Tour win. So as a crew chief, so the whole deal was just awesome, man. Great weekend. That's
something you and I have talked about at length. We maybe haven't advertised on the outside, but you and I, how hard it is to keep these kids, and we say kids, right? Like, it's not necessarily a kid anymore, but you kind of how keep young drivers in your program for multiple years. We see statistically that in years 2 things get better, in years 3 things get really good, right?
Yeah, the third year is definitely, obviously the longer you go, you can race 15 years and get better, but 2 years, it definitely takes 2 years for them to get where we want them to be. Some of the issues we've seen in the past when these kids have success too early.
For sure.
We've had some situations where we've fallen out of the box and won the first race, and it sets the bar so high for them, and I think it gets them a little bit lax to where they're not like, this is easier than I thought, and then you kind of lose that hunger to get better early on, and when you do that, then you're setting yourself up for
failure.
Yeah, for failure in the end. But no doubt, the longer that these kids will stay motivated and stay in the program, it's better. and that's not just our program, that's anybody's program really, but it's good for the younger kids, the Braden Rogers, you know, that we have, kids like that are just getting into it, to see the progression of somebody like Nolan, who has put in the commitment to stay. And believe me, there's been times that he's wanted to stop. I mean, you know, there's been rough months and rough years that is obviously anybody would lose interest, you know.
Sure,
and
sure.
we just had to keep him going. Like, Nolan, you can do this, man. You know, we believe in you, you know. And luckily, he's stuck it out with us, and now look where he's at. You know, he's like he said in his interview post race, when he first came here, he was lap traffic.
Yeah.
You know, and he wasn't used to running up front with these guys, and then just slowly but surely he's gotten better. Won some local shows, won some bigger races at other tracks, traveled around, and won at Anderson, won at different places, and now he's competing for car store wins, and you know, without a couple bad races there, would be competing for a championship.
I'm glad to have Shady here. I'm super pumped. Like, I remember when Shady wasn't Shady, right? Like, and that's why I'm super pleased, right, for you to get a win as a crew chief in that series, right? I think it's amazing, and you know, I just like how multi-dimensional you guys have become. Where, you know, early on it really had to be that I need Michael to help me, or I need, now we have another dimension to this. And what's interesting is he's kind of in your brand, meaning he's been a long-term person. For those of you that don't know, tell us. I mean, you've worked there a long time and kind of come through the deal.
Well, I just showed up one day and told Michael that I would work for free.
That's awesome.
And then from there on out, then he said show up the next day, started sweeping.
That's it.
Started cleaning, and then...
Well, let's back up just a second.
Oh, there's more. There's more, yes.
Let me tell this story. Right. I think he's a little shy on the camera so far.
It might be a family program. I don't know.
Yeah. So he comes in dressed in his finest church slacks.
Nice.
Button up.
He's ready. He's ready for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Comes in, yes sir, no sir, here's my resume, sir, which went right in the trash can.
That's
after
it.
he said
That's
he'd work for free.
That's it. Now this is over.
And by day, I guess maybe the end of day 2, maybe the beginning of day 3, he was MFing everybody and cussing everybody out, and then just one of the guys basically.
There you go.
And it was like, what happened in the Shady I met 2 days ago? And, kind of a little bit different, but you know, he did say he'd come in, sweep the shop, whatever, to learn, and he came through the NTI school, and we needed somebody to sweep the shop and help. I mean, we were trying to grow as a company. We needed more employees, but we didn't have the money to pay anybody really, and we wanted to expand our brand and expand to a multi-car team, and we knew that we had to have other people that were capable of setting cars up and crew chiefing and spotting than my dad and myself, because we just didn't want to spread ourselves too thin. You know, we wanted to be able to develop a crew chief, develop a team, not just developing drivers, you know, that would help in the end develop our business into what we saw it. And he was just a perfect piece of the puzzle. You know, we were kind of outspoken. He was a laid-back, kind of shy kid at the time, and you know, parents were paying the bills and didn't need much money to live on.
Sure.
And so once he graduated into a paying position, they obviously cut him off. But
They should have. They should have.
The same deal with him, man. For us, it's all about loyalty. Our drivers have been very loyal to us, and Shady stuck with us even when we couldn't pay him a lot and when we weren't winning, and maybe we had drivers that just weren't getting done. And at the time, throughout the years, you get those, and it's just part of this business. But fortunately, he's stuck around, and now look, you know what he's been able to do. And you know, I'm sure that ride home Saturday night, he was probably on cloud 9. That was maybe one of the rides that he wasn't too tired, you know, to drive home for sure. But proud of him and proud of Nolan really for those two guys. And Nolan having the foresight. I mean, we at the beginning, you know, my dad worked with Nolan a little bit. I worked with Nolan a little bit. My dad and Nolan's personalities didn't mesh as well as Nolan and Nick's. And Nolan finally said, you know, I want Shady to spot for me. I want Shady to run my deal. We're like, all right, cool.
Winner.
Let's let this work. Let's see how this works. And, you know, obviously it started out trying to learn each other, and then they got how they wanted their cars to work. And now I just tell them where we're going the next Saturday, and they get ready to roll.
That's awesome.
Figure it out from there.
Yeah, how about Dad too, right? And you and Dad, I mean, Lee Faulk, how about him, allowing him to do that? You know, I mean, that's a hard thing to step out there, and especially in this business, just there's a lot of people that just will stab you right in the throat, like instantly, you know, and I think that's why a lot of people are scared to do that. But the fact that, you know, he just been part of the family, you know, he's just another kid.
I think the one thing that was beneficial for us with Shady was that his dad and my dad are pretty much cut from the same cloth. No bullshit kind of
There
guys.
you go.
That just,
Yeah, there's no.
that tell you how it is and what they think. And so he was used to it. He had thick skin already. So
Sure.
obviously, you know, Lee, and he's going to tell you what he thinks at the shop and tell you you're a dumbass if you're doing something wrong, and you know, learn by
Sometimes
tough
when
love.
you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just part of the deal.
And it still does.
And I love him for it, right? Like you love him for
Yeah,
it.
so-
Actually, you respect him, I think, for it more.
It was actually a lot harder for him to let let Shady have the reins than
Sure.
it was for me, because I knew Shady was going to be fine, but my dad's never done that with anybody besides his own son, so
Yeah,
he
I
didn't
can
really
understand.
have he was kind of late to the party, I guess, of letting Shady have full reign, but I finally talked him into it, and it's worked out.
How do you keep finding you? Like, I was in my office a little while ago, and there's some pictures there in the beginning, so that everybody knows the little backstory. When I bought Performance Center, like everybody was leaving. There was like I didn't have it. It was LTO at that point in time, and Lee and Michael had been customers, but everybody was bailing. There was about 5 people that remained. McDaniels was one of them. You guys. There were some people that remained in it, and then they came in and we sat down and talked and said, "This is how we're going to do it. This is that." I didn't do a lot of the talking. His dad did most of the talking, and said, "This is how we're going to do it. If you can keep up to this will be a great deal for all of us." And here we are, 11 years later. How do you continue it? Like, how do you continue to year after year find these kids, right, and put them in position to win? We're not talking about some backed markered game, right? We're talking about year over year, Lee Faulk Racing finds young people, takes them, and puts them in position to win big events.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grind, man. I'd be lying if I said it was easy to find them, because it's not. I mean, there's more and more teams getting in this business every year. We've been fortunate to be in it for a long time, pretty much since the beginning of the driver development era. We've been doing this with Tom, Tom when he had LTO, and we started with one guy out of Miami, Mario Hernandez, who would fly up here on Saturdays and race at Hickory, or Friday in Tri-County and Saturday at Hickory for peanuts, and took every dollar we had to put back into new equipment with you guys, and just built our team up that way. And we were able to do that over a 15-year span to where it's at now. But getting the drivers in the first 5, 6, 7 years was very difficult, man. I mean, every winter, Christmas sucked. Holidays suck.
Sure.
You're just
it's
not
like cup
knowing.
racing
Yeah,
all
you don't
over,
know
right?
if
You
you
don't
got
know
a
what's
paycheck.
going on.
You
Yep.
don't know if you got a paycheck next year or not, and it's come down to the wire a lot of years into February and March, whether or not we had any deals, or if we're going to have to close the door and go get real jobs. But luckily for us, we've been consistent in winning with the young kids that we've had over the last 5 or 6 years, starting in 2011 with Pietro Fittipaldi, who actually really put us on the map. We got through Toyota. That deal came through Toyota and David Ruderman at the time. So when we started winning championships with Pietro, and then drivers started coming, more talented drivers, not just family guys that had money or wanted to race, like a wine and cheese type racer, I would call them, but actual kids who wanted to be developed into a NASCAR racer. When they started coming through our program, and then we could have some proven results, it takes time, because now we can look back at Anthony Alfredo, Taylor Gray, Tanner Gray, these kids that have been through our program. Spencer Gallagher, he doesn't race anymore, but these kids that have made it to the next level and made it to Nationwide and Xfinity and Series and like that. Now Brett Holmes, now winning Canon ARCA races, came through our program. These are kids that couldn't even hardly shift a car when we went to Hickory the first day, and now they're having success on those top 3 levels. So really, now that we have those testimonials and people can see that, it's been a lot easier for us to get drivers, and people actually are just coming to us.
Plus MPM too, right? Let's talk about them a little bit. Give them some love.
Absolutely.
They definitely work hard for you guys in your partnership. Tell us a little bit about that.
Tanya and Lonnie, Tanya McAllister and MPM, and Lonnie and everybody over there, they've been a part of our program for probably since Cole Glasson, which was what?
Gosh.
How long ago was that? 2014?
Somewhere around there,
six or 7 years, and we've known him forever. I mean, her dad Lee obviously is a legend in stock car racing, and a really good friend of ours and mine. Gives me a lot of good advice over the years, but we've always talked about it. Then finally, Cole Glasson was looking for a place to go after leaving his truck deal, local truck deal, and I wanted Cole, and we worked out a deal to get Cole. And then after that, that opened the door for a lot of other opportunities. She's worked with Nolan Pope since day one, and his brother Brody, and that family, marketing those kids. Does an excellent job at the racetrack for us, managing the families mostly,
Yeah,
managing
for sure.
the kids,
For sure.
you know, etiquette training, all kinds of stuff, man. But yeah, without her, I mean, we wouldn't have what we have for sure. She's done a great job with us, and we'll continue that, you know.
Is that your biggest obstacle? I know it does become the biggest obstacle inside these walls sometimes, is managing parental expectation of,
Yeah.
I bought a brand new car and I believe
Yeah.
that I should take it to Hickory and
be
beat
winning.
Josh Berry,
You should
and
be
I
there
don't know,
right
like
now.
my money's just as good as theirs. I don't understand, blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
Billy got this, I got this. I have to deal with it on such a smaller scale than you, because they come to me upon the initial deal, and then sooner or later it's kind of that in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
You either sink or swim type thing. But with your thing, it's a constant, right? Forever.
It is. We've been fortunate the last few years to have a lot of the same families over and over, which has been great. And now, I mean, right now, all of our families are great families to deal with. But we have had issues in the past and I found a lot of it comes from financial pressure.
Yes.
Because when they hawk the farm for their kid to be Jeff
right.
Gordon and it doesn't
It's a
work out,
bad deal.
It's everybody's fault, you
Yeah.
know. But that's why, I mean, up front, I mean, I tell them, if you can't afford to do this for 3 years with us, then let's not even talk about it, because you're not going to win. We're not going to win. Nobody's going to win in this deal if this is just a 10-race deal or whatever, you know. And we will take those one-off deals here and there if somebody's got somebody.
Sure, something that you want to do. Yeah.
But as a full program, like if you want Johnny to go from 12-year-old racing, you know, go-karts or whatever to K&N, then this is what we're going to have to do, and this is how much money you're going to need. And it's not a small number.
No, it's not. It's not. And I find that to be completely true. Like you can see toward when the parents are running, like I know they don't think anybody can see it, but like
No,
everybody can
knows.
see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, where parents tip their hand, actually, to be really honest with you. Like that's usually the ones I can figure out. Not making assumptions, but usually you can figure out the guys that are about to be in trouble, just because the parents end up being off the radar craziness.
And they're so hard on the kids too, and it just puts the extra pressure on them. And somebody without experience is not going to go to a track like Hickory and jump in a late model and beat Josh Berry.
It's not happening.
Especially when their parents are over here,
right,
you know,
screaming
dude,
at
you
them.
got to win today. You know,
Right.
we got a house payment we skipped
Right.
on to make this happen. We got some tires for you. I mean, you better qualify on the pole. I'll buy you an extra set of tires to do a mock run. What the hell? Why are you qualifying 10th?
Right.
You know, a kid don't
That's
need
it.
that kind of pressure. So it's definitely a difficult challenge, and every situation is different. You know, families are different, and the drivers are different. The ones that have had success, though, are the parents that realize that, hey, you know, I'm paying LFR for a service to develop my kid, and I'm going to let them do their job, just like I do when you build me a race car or whatever.
Sure.
You know?
And I think there's a big thing to that, right? You can kind of early on get the sense of which families feel that way and which ones don't. It makes it, not that you can't work with the other kids, because surely everybody does business differently, but it surely makes it a lot easier on everyone as a scope to do it that way. How's this coronavirus, you know, how's it affected you guys? I was down at your shop one time during the middle of the pandemic, and you guys were
Yeah, that's a good question for
craziness, right? Like you were
Shady's
all over the place. So
master
tell us about it.
fabricator at this point.
Yeah, I thought at one point, I know you guys were, you know, donating a bunch and selling some after you donated, and did a bunch of things. Tell us about that.
Really, we, you know, Damon and those guys at Race City Steel, they had started building sneeze guards right away, and I thought it was a good idea. I was like, you know what, it'd be cool if we could donate these. I knew a lot of people were going to be looking for them, and the coronavirus pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, was already going to put a lot of pressure on these local businesses. So if I could find companies that would donate materials and funds for us to build these to where we could give them to the local companies at no charge, that's what I'd like to do. So I contacted 5 Star. They provided us with a lot of Lexan and, you know, cutoffs and stuff from windshields that we could use. And Shady worked late hours, and we all stayed there, and we knocked them out one by one. And then once we started getting enough orders in, we contacted Will Jones and those guys at Speedway Fab, and they started laser cutting everything for us. And we just did you know, up the production a little bit, and we still do it. We sent out 20 sneeze guards last week, custom orders. We have a few big accounts. I mean, it probably could have turned into a regular business if we wanted it to.
Right.
It definitely served its purpose and got us through the pandemic. We didn't have to let anybody go or furlough anybody, and we all kept our paycheck coming in, and that was the main purpose anyway.
Right,
you know?
for sure.
So it was good, and we got to help some people out and made a bunch of new relationships that may transfer into something with the racing side down the road.
How many cars you guys have down there?
We got 6 right now.
6, yeah.
And a super.
Yep, one super.
Tell us, that's a lot to take care of.
Yep.
How about, doesn't your dad build some little cars on the side, like Florida modified things or something, isn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty much where we started, Lee Faulk Racing. It's in Florida, building open wheel modifieds where we won a ton. Not to be cocky, but we kicked their ass pretty much in Florida with modified racing for a lot of years. With several drivers. We weren't driving, we were just building them and setting them up.
Sure.
I was 13 and crew chief in modifieds and stuff. So, yeah, we did that, moved up here, and they got that Wheelman Sportsman Series down there in Florida, which is a lower budget class with outlaw type super late model bodies. They look pretty wicked, you know, and they keep the budget down. They do a really good job on all that, and so we wanted to build one. So we had a Fury center section out of a Fury Super. We took that and built our own clip with the help of the legend Steve Levitt. Robbie McLeod's crazy ass, and we put a clip together, and then did it all there at the shop, built it, and sent it to Florida. The guy's got it down there. He hasn't raced it yet, the first one, but it's ready to go for Speed Week, and we've got another chassis center section at the shop. So basically what we're doing is we're just getting center sections from Gary Crooks and Fury and so we get Port City or Fury, whatever you want.
Sure.
And then we put our clips on it and finish it out and set it up, scale it, ready to go. So.
I saw one of them look pretty good.
Yeah,
like
they're neat.
nice dash in.
They're fun. They're really
good.
fun to build because there's not a lot of rules, you know, so you can do what you want to the body. And there is a lot of rules when it comes to the chassis part of it, you know, the stock locations and all that stuff you have to use. But it's a fun little series, and like I said, our cars haven't raced in it yet. The first one's still down there waiting to race, but it's fun, something to do on the side.
Shady,
we don't have enough to do already.
Right at NTI. What do you say to him now? Like, we got one, and I really like him. He's good. And listen, you could say whatever you want to. You're a young kid. You can go back and tell yourself 10 years ago what you would do to get in this game, because you weren't born into it, right? Like, there's a lot of people that, and I'm not taking away Michael. Everybody knew Michael because his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, or indifferent, right? Like, good, bad, or indifferent. There's a lot of people that.
Shady was a racer, but in go-karts, and it was up north.
Okay, so what when you come here, you don't know anybody. No. You're willing to do whatever. What do you go back and tell that NTI kid now?
Well, I mean, like, my story's a little different. I could come down here and do nothing and sweep the floor.
Sure.
But, like, I was 18. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My family owned a trash company. So I could be a trash man.
Yeah, whatever.
And run it later.
Sure.
But I decided I don't want to do that. So I came down here. My dad worked on a dirt late model forever. And racing was always there. So that's why I came here, did that. Just found the school with something to do.
Yeah.
But if I was to go back, I mean, day one I moved down here, I guess I'd walk into Lee Faulk Racing.
Yeah, for sure.
And tell Lee to teach me. So, I mean, the school teaches kids a lot, I think. Definitely for the automotive side. And the racing side, you know.
Well, I mean, like your situation, like you said, you didn't need to have a fallback plan because you could always go back home or whatever, you know. But kids that don't have a fallback plan, I think the school probably does help them because even if they can't get a job in racing right away, they can still get a job in the automotive business and then work their way into racing down the road if they can figure out how to do that.
I think if you're a kid through NTI, though, if you're willing to trudge through it and eat some garbage, I think you can make it in the end.
In the end, it's everything you make it. I mean, if you're going to drag your ass and half-ass it, then you're going to get half-ass results. It's the same as everything.
How, are you still sharing all the notes with them, or you just, like, leave them to the side and just firing on your own?
That's the thing that I love the most. Like, I get the title. My name's written down as a crew chief or whatever they say that I am, but everything's is team, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, Dad comes over, we'll talk about it. Michael will talk about it. If it's for Nolan's car or Jonathan's, we all go together.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun time, man.
Just the decisions are easier to make when you got people to bounce it off of.
For sure.
So we all set all the cars up together and pull them down, and you know, that was another good thing that we were able to get last year was a pull down rig in house and sway bar load testers and things like that we didn't have
little
at the
things.
beginning. The little things that have really helped a lot.
Sure.
And so Shady with the mathematical brain and me with the common sense, you know, we kind of sit there and work through it, and Dad puts his old school touch on it, and either we, you know, listen or we don't.
That's it. That happens, right?
We either get cussed
nobody
out
tells
or we
him and
don't.
go again, right? Yeah.
But the problem with that is if you don't listen to him, then you suck. You really going to listen to him. Like, you're a bunch of stupid ass.
Right.
I told you guys.
I've been telling you the whole time. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. maybe some people know, maybe they don't know. I think I find it interesting about you that you're a restaurateur also.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of everything, I guess.
I mean, guy's got a little bit of everything,
I
right?
love
So,
business, man.
me too.
I love entrepreneurship. I always have. I have a business degree from the University of Florida. I didn't, you know, I went in there thinking if I couldn't make it as a famous race car driver that I could, run my own business. And no matter what that is, I mean, business is business,
That's
right?
it.
Whether it's a restaurant
That's
or a
it.
race car
Doesn't matter.
chassis shop. And one of my best friends, Trippy Phillips, he lived here for a long time, and we got to be really good friends. And he moved down there, and he has a passion for the restaurant business. And he partnered with a guy in Blythewood, South Carolina, on a restaurant for a couple years, and it was a total shithole. And dude was watching Bar Rescue and Restaurant Rescue and all those shows, and he was texting me all the time, like,
dude.
He's like, dude, I'm gonna do this to this bar. It sucks, and we're gonna renovate this whole place. I'm like, well, get rid of the other guy, and I'll partner. I'll buy into it too. And so he did, because I just believe in people. I invest in people, not necessarily the idea.
Yep.
So I know that Trippy was going to be successful in this because of how much passion he had for it. So I invested in it, all of our savings at the time, my wife and mine. She was behind me 100% on some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that's the way it's. That's it.
Much about
She's
her,
crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody else knew it already.
So I guess she got faith in me. But yeah, so we gave him all our savings and said, all right, make it happen. And so 2 years later, first year, we pretty much got our money back. And here we are, killing it. COVID didn't slow it down, really. I mean, it hurt a little bit, but we were able to adjust, and it was actually good for us because we were able to see the areas that we needed to cut fat and trim up, and he did a really good job at that. He started his own record label now, so we're getting country music acts coming through McNulty's Tap Room in Blythewood off exit 27.
No,
Friday
it's good.
night.
Listen, I want them all to come. We'll tag it in the thing. Right? It's crazy town.
We had Ray Scott there last Friday. The place was sold out the very first night. The governor in South Carolina opened it up to 100%. We were standing room only. So that shows you right there what people think about this bullshit, know. And we're really proud of that. Really happy with Trippy and Julie, my wife and I, being partners with them in that. And it makes me want to go down there right now and have a couple shots.
That's a good place, right? Good times too.
Yeah, very good times.
Your family, you have a daughter. She's getting older. I follow everybody on social media, seeing what they're doing. And I mean, what's the best way you deal with your time? I know my most precious asset is my time.
It is.
How do you deal with all of that, right?
The restaurant takes care of itself. Honestly, me and Trippy talk on the phone a little bit about it during the week, and he handles it, so it doesn't take up a lot of my time, which was one of the stipulations going in. I told him, I'll help you renovate it. I'll go down there and put in the elbow grease to get it going, but I can't manage it. I can't be down there working there. He was cool with that, so that's not really taking up a lot of time. Now that we have people like Nick and even now Spencer Knight, who works for us full-time in the shop, he's taking more responsibility. He's setting cars up for us now. Same deal as Shady. A couple years ago, all he was comfortable doing was sweeping the shop. Nothing against him, but that's just where he was at.
Sure.
He's worked with me. That's basically the guy that works on my car every week with me, and he's learned a lot. So now he's getting more responsibility, which frees up time, especially for my dad, since he's at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
He gets the most free time. Gets more haircuts than anybody. But
he's got to run parts. He runs parts.
But Harper's my daughter. She's wide open, man. She's 6. She's a first grader at Grace Covenant Academy there in Huntersville, and she goes to karate and gymnastics and all that stuff that kids do. And I love being able to have the flexibility. That was part of us, my dad and I, starting this deal. I moved up here to drive. I ran a couple races, K&N, ARCA truck stuff, and then when it didn't happen, it was like, all right, what do? We can all go get jobs, or we can do something that's going to suck for a few years, and we're going to be broke, and we'll have more freedom in the end. Which is what we chose. So now, here we are, the business is good, and we have the freedom. That was the plan the whole time. So if I need to go at 4 o'clock to go to my daughter's karate class, I can do it.
That's it. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You going to run Lee Faulk Racing?
As long as Michael's there, I'm good.
That's good.
I'll just stay in the back.
Keep doing your deal.
Yeah, I'll find a floor to sweep every now and then.
That's great. Gosh almighty. It's only that easy, right?
Honestly, man, I mean, I would like to see Shady have ownership in it at some point if we continue. Every decision we make, I mean, you can ask him. Even today, I had a guy call me, a friend of mine wanted me to do a deal for the All-American 400. And first thing I did was ask Shady, what do you think? Should we do this? Should we not do this? And I just want it to be a group effort, and I want everybody to have input on the decisions, because that way everybody's in it, in it together. You don't have one guy that's not wanting to do this, and if there's somebody in the shop that doesn't think something's right or doesn't want to do it, then we don't do it. I mean, so, I'd have no problem after my dad's gone later down the road, retired or whatever he wants to do, to have somebody else there to basically take my spot and then let me sit back and
Move
get
it around.
four haircuts a week and
Go out on the boat.
massages and hit the jet ski or whatever.
Yeah, the things you got to do as the owner, the CEO
Maybe not the jet
title.
ski, but
Not-
I don't have a great record
Not
on the jet ski.
Yeah, that's not probably a good idea. Michael ran out of gas on the jet ski. This is a long story, big deal. Things happen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's part of life. Man, I'm glad you guys took some time to come up. I'm glad you weren't take a little time off of golfing. I'm glad we got Shady up here for his first crew chief win interview.
Yeah,
tried.
Michael swung up. What do you see coming next? What's your next big deal? You're into the race car ownership. You got the tap room going, right? Now what's now?
I mean, our next big deal is just to go to Ace Friday night and win with Nolan or Braden. We're going to take them to Ace, and then the next deal after that would be go back and win that 30,000 in Greenville.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
heard this week. I can't. I'm not going to confirm this or deny, but I heard from a decently reliable source that he told me they had 50 pre-entered.
And 28 starting.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Could be interesting. But once again, the racing down there, they said this weekend was really good. The second group's coming in. Only they didn't have as many cars, but the racing was apparently really decent.
I think it's going to be a good race. I mean, I've always loved going to Greenville and racing. Even before Anthony had it, we would go there, and it's always been a good racing to me. A lot of people don't like it because it's flat and tight.
It did trend though for a little while, right? Like when they first did the pave the corners, then all of a sudden it was so fast that you had to run a 2,000-pound rider spring the thing just to keep it propped up, just to keep it turning, right? Like so.
I like it that it's worn down. I liked it. I liked it before they paved it. Honestly,
I did too.
But that's me with every track because I'm just an old soul.
Yeah,
I like I don't like anything to be paved. But that's just my opinion. But I think now the racing's really good over there, and I think you're going to see a great show.
Were you surprised to see Myrtle Beach go away?
No.
I wasn't either.
I wasn't surprised. It was heartbroken.
I was too.
And especially for Steve and Jacqueline, all them guys and girls that put all their efforts into that place the last decade, because, it was on the same path. I mean, they didn't really have a lot going on, and Steve turned it around, man. Steve, in my opinion, is the greatest promoter in the Southeast.
Right now?
Yeah. And I think he did a great job there. He's going to do a great job in Florence. We went out and had some beers with him, Shady and I did, the night before the race this weekend.
Few.
Yeah?
Yeah, just a few. And he's all in, man. I mean, he's like us. He's got everything he's got's invested into this new venture, and that to me is a sign of somebody that really believes in himself and believes in what he's doing. And I know he's going to be successful, and I can't wait to see it. But the track was great. The facilities were obvious. I've never been there, but they say they did a lot of work. It looked nice. There's a little more work to do, I think. But I think it's going to be a good deal, and I think he'll attract cars.
Would you rather take them cars to a race in these kids, or would you rather take them to a local track? I think it's such different dynamics.
I just think it depends on where they're at, and that's why we do an evaluation test with everybody at first, basically just to see,
Yeah, let's do that. Let's tell them, because I have quite a few quarter midget and legend car kids that call me on a regular basis, want to know how things work. This is the best way to hear right here,
yeah,
right?
So basically what we do is an evaluation test. If you guys were to, maybe I want to come drive for LFR or see if my kid's ready for a late model stock, or even if he likes it. It's an inexpensive way for you guys to go to the track. We spend a day out there with the family. We got the driver coaches, the crew chief, the spotter, like everybody, like you normally would on a race weekend. And we just sit out there and we just coach. And we'll make 20-lap runs basically all day and just see where you're at, make adjustments to the car, get your feedback, mainly just to see how the driver gels with the team and reacts to the changes in the car, if they can feel this or feel that. Don't really care how fast you're going, just really want to see what kind of feedback you give us and car control and things like that. And then at the end of the day, we sit down and either tell little Jimmy that we'd really like him to do some more testing, or he needs to go buy some golf clubs.
Let's try that.
And that's pretty much what it is.
Do you think that you're many of the people that know Lee Faulk will understand, but do you think that I always enjoy your family's bluntness just to what it is. It's easy for me to provide you services because I know exactly where it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you're not happy, then we've established, then I'm not happy, and I can completely adjust to how it works, right? And then I make sure that that is. So I enjoy that. But for many people, they don't.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's kind of led to your success? That you've kind of early weeded through some of the people that aren't going to go down that path?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at this point in our business, I do think it has helped us. It was rocky at first because that's more my dad's style than it is mine. I mean,
Sure.
that's kind of where we're a little bit different. I like kind of trying to work with people and seeing their side of things and trying to adapt myself to fit them a little better. And he's like, listen, dude, I've been doing this for 50 years. This
Right.
is what works. I know this works. If you just listen to me, I promise it'll work. And if they don't, if they don't want to buy into that, then he don't want any part
That's
of it.
it. Right.
And that's how he is in business too. And I feel like it saves a lot of heartache and headache down the road if you're
Time.
if you're blunt and up front at the beginning. It may suck, it may be a hard conversation to have with somebody, but I guarantee you it's a lot easier than when that parent gets 200,000 in with you, and then they're not getting the results and they've spent everything they've
Right.
got.
Everything they got.
It's a lot easier to have that initial conversation than it is to wait and drag them out and take their money and then nobody's happy.
Are you surprised about how far away parents are when they come to your level and how close they think they are? I'm surprised almost on a daily basis when younger people come in at how close they think their son or daughter
Just
is.
ready to winning, you mean?
Winning or even moving to the next step above that, right? Like, just so you know, Performance Center, we don't ever stop here. We just build stuff no matter if we're podcasting, doing whatever. As you can hear, nobody gives a dang about what we're doing over here. They just do their own thing.
That's good.
So I just find that my biggest thing that I have especially lately been on to parents, and I want parents to understand from a standpoint of you think you're close because you got a car, you signed a contract with LFR to race 25 races next year. You think, man, this should happen. And what I want them to know is you're 6 years away from a big series and 3 years away from probably winning in late model stock at a high level, And now there are some exceptions of kids that have already driven things, blah, blah, blah. But from taking a person that, it's a longer route. It's a grind. This isn't a, we're going to push all in 200K, and it's over, right? Like, I got where I needed to be.
That's just the beginning. I mean, you're starting from the bottom again, and I think like I said, every family is different. You'll have the parents that believe that, and you'll also have the parents that, all right, we know we're starting from the bottom. Let's
right. This is where we
have
start.
the patience, and the worst thing is when the kids come from like a lower division, like let's say Legend Stars, and they've won everything there is to win. They've won the Winter Nationals, they've won Vegas, they've won this, they've won that, and then they come in there and then they run 10th, and then they run 8th, and then they run 10th. It's the kids, because a lot of times it's the parents' fault, because the parents have pumped them up so much through that whole process. Like, dude, you're the man.
Yep.
Nobody can beat you. You're the man. Well,
Right.
so they come into late model racing thinking, all right, I'm going to be the man. And when they're not, it's a reality check for a young brain. And some of them aren't mature enough to, all right, I need to take a step back. I'm going to start from the bottom again, work my way up. And honestly, that's why Nolan Pope is having the success he's having, because he was able to do that. He had, not much confidence, honestly. I mean, nothing against Nolan, but when he came in, he had not much confidence from what he was doing. He had run some Legends races. He hadn't really won a ton, but he was decent, and he was just honest. And honest with us, honest with his parents, himself. His parents were honest with it. I mean, it was like, all right, we suck. What do we do now?
Figure it out.
Okay, cool. I love that. Let's start here, and this is what we're going to do, But yeah, like to answer your question, they're all different, man. That's the most difficult part, and you can ask Zach and these guys at Triple R. I mean, it's the hardest part. It's dealing with the not the parents, but just the different personalities in general. That could mean a sponsor, a driver, or anything.
Yeah, we did a small interview with them a little while ago, and they said the same thing about you guys. It was actually, and I don't know, I'm sure you didn't see it, because they said exactly the same thing. He said, listen, I want you to go to Lee Faulk Racing, and they'll tell you the same thing that we're telling you. Like, it's about how much you want to be in it. We can all lie to each other and try to figure, or you can find people that you enjoy that are at the top of their class, and you can try to go with them, right? And if you fit with one, you may not fit with the other, or vice versa. So it's about understanding where you're from, what you like, how your family operates, or how your son or daughter operates if it's not a family, and
that's what a lot of the people that get into this business don't understand. These cars don't know what brand they are. They don't know how old they are.
100%.
They don't know anything like that. And you know, Sam Butler may not be able to drive Nolan Pope's car, and vice versa.
100%.
So, you know, there's not one trick spindle or one trick track bar mount or one trick anything that makes a car haul ass. It's all, every part put together and working together simultaneously. And like they said, and like I was saying, it's about gelling with the team. So you find some people that you get along with, that you like, that you want to be around, and that you trust with your kid, and then you have patience.
Go there. Yeah.
That's the key, patience.
Yeah. But your patience has to also be linked to your wallet at the same time, and that's hard for a lot of parents.
Patient wallet.
Yeah, that's just not very good.
No.
I had an ex-wife that was like that. It was a patient wallet. It wasn't patient at all. That's awesome. What do you think about doing next year? You got full field again? You got a cars tour race? You got a local race? What are you going?
I think we're going to probably do a little of both. Definitely be full for the cars tour. Obviously, a lot of people have been calling about that with our recent success with Jonathan Finley winning Dominion and then Nolan winning at Florence. That was pretty cool.
That's
to win
awesome.
2 different cars, 2 different drivers, 2 different crew chiefs, the whole deal. But cars tour will definitely have a couple, if not 3, full-time deals. And mainly it's for us just trying to get the kids that we know are ready to win in the car store. And then, you know, there's also some kids that we want to take local racing, maybe full season at Tri-County or whatever they decide to do over there. We'd love to be at Tri-County again. Ace Speedway is opening back up on Friday nights, which gives us a lot of flexibility too. You know, just kind of do what we've been doing.
Dude, I love Tri-County.
I love Tri-County,
I do too.
It's awesome.
We've been there since 2009, 2008, winning races, all the way back David Wilson, Sam Watts, George Gorham, like all these guys that we've had way back in the day. Chrissy Wallace.
Wow,
Tyler Brown, all these guys that we used to race at Tri-County every Friday night.
Good racing there too, right?
Great racing.
Like, that's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about for 2021. I was super excited about it for 2020, and I have to tell you that I'm really happy that they got to open and they got to get their feet wet a little bit about some things they needed to change. I think they've, as a group, really gone back to work with going to do some improvements and some things. And I honestly think that quite possibly could be the most underrated racetrack for 2021 with some things that could happen locally. I think that'll be the winner.
I do too, and I just, you know, if they're watching this podcast, I just really beg them not to pave it. If they can figure out any way to fix the track from coming up without paving it, then
he's talking. You know, I think he's trying it too. We spoke a little bit. We repaired one of his cars in here, and he was very forthright that they wanted to make sure that they didn't ruin it.
Yeah.
Like that's the one good part in my opinion about having a racer, right? Like, because he's thinking the same thing you are, right? Like, so we can lay this really good, then it's gonna suck because then there's gonna be no top or there's gonna be no whatever,
file
right?
And hauling ass.
Right. I really think he talked about maybe some VHT on the top or some other things to try to work it through. But I'm just appreciative that they at least understand. I don't know that everybody can do everything they want to do, but they at least understand what could happen.
The track will come back to running 3 wide if they just run it enough and keep it clean on the top. It'll come back because people will get up there. It started coming back when we raced there the last race on the top. But they just got to figure out a way to get the track to keep from breaking up and you know, coming through radiators and stuff like that, because that has happened a couple times. They've done a good job, but it's going to continue to happen unless they have a more permanent solution. So I think those guys, Mr. Higgins and everybody, I think they'll figure it out, and they'll be a great place to race again.
If you trend late model stock car racing in the last 10 years, that you've definitely seen a decline, not necessarily in monster car count numbers, but definitely in overall, right? Like amount of cars at certain races, blah, blah, blah. What do you think really is the biggest thing that stymies it, right? Is it the money? Sometimes I think it's the money. Is it racetracks not promoting people, not promoting their brand? Is it that doesn't draw people out? Where do you think?
I think that's a little bit of it. There's certain tracks that have done better than others on that. Obviously, the money, the cost of racing continues to get larger and larger every year. New chassis, new designs, which nothing wrong with innovation. Obviously, our sport's built on innovation. You guys work on new ideas all the time, and R&S, people like that coming into the sport, building brand new stuff, lightweight, trick stuff. the problem with it is not everybody can afford it, and it kind of takes the guy that is on a week-to-week budget that has a 2011 Townsend car out of the equation, because he can't win anymore. But it's hard to say what can fix that, because you're going to have innovation in anything, and things are going to change, whether it's racing or anything in this world with our government or whatever.
Sure.
So you're going to have to keep up with it. I mean, we just have to find a way to keep it affordable, where the Saturday night guy can afford to go race still and compete, not just be there and ride around the back, because that's not fun for anybody.
Right.
Nobody's going to spend their paycheck to go finish last every week. So we got to figure out a way that those guys can compete. I feel like the engine package was a good step in that direction. You know, even that now, I mean, everybody's getting them.
It's going the same way.
More and more power and better valve jobs and better this and better that, and it's just getting more expensive again. Initially, it was a great idea. It's gotten a little bit out of hand. The billet spindle thing, you know, they outlawed that. You know, they got rid of that.
That was a terrible move.
That was good. And then, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of little things, man. And then I just think if you just treat people right and pay a decent purse and actually get off your ass and go out there and beat the bushes for sponsorships and don't rely on the racers to pay your purse, you're a winner. Yeah, you can win. And do creative things like the online feeds and the pay-per-views and things like that, where
100%.
You're not relying so much on the back gate and selling hot dogs to make it work. You got to get out there and think outside the box. It's not going to work the same way you did in 1980.
Right. I just wish I begged people more. I actually will tell you that I talked to 3 promoters of racetracks today, and I just beg them to, if you get a product or if you can show people a product, like, they will come. Mm-hmm. Like, they'll come. If the racing is really good and everybody's on their feet and people are excited, they will come. Yeah, if the racing is absolutely, positively horrific, nobody's coming, right? Like, nobody's coming. I think so many people are afraid of the internet because it truly sets you free, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't have a race shop, then it's really difficult to be able to see this in the back, right? Like, if you're not, like, I just think that's where a lot of these people get exposed, because they don't want to go to the internet.
And they got to figure it out.
Right.
Because that's the only way it's going to work. I mean, the internet's been here a long time now. It's 100%. Not like it's something that's going away.
Is this something you see yourself retiring out of? Meaning, like, you do the grind the entire time? Like, I think your old man's probably pot committed, right? Like, he's in it now.
He's pot committed. He's old school.
He's be a racer through and through. But where are you at?
I don't know. I mean,
give us some beers. We could use it fresh round of cocktails. We get them to talk terribly here in a minute.
Yeah, we're really MF people here.
No, I tell you, we're not MF anybody.
I don't think that I'll ever retire, per se, because retirement is just a thing of the past, I think. I don't think that's really a reality for anybody anymore, because who wants to just, I mean, what is retirement?
What are you going to do, right?
What is retirement, really? I mean, I can go on vacation for a month. That would be like retirement, but then I can also come back and you know, I would like to be, my goal and my wife's goal for us.
Your wife's a hustler too, though. You got lucky. Is she blind?
No.
Does she have vision problems?
No, I'll tell you about how I got her later.
I think she's blind.
No, she's not.
Sometimes I think, man, does she really see that well? Because
first she thought I was, you know, the next Jeff Gordon. So she was seeing dollar signs.
Good for her. And then she
realized. Got her up here. What was she going to do? She had already sold out her whole family in Florida and moved up here with me. So it was like, well, I was saving face, like not going back. So she made it work.
Good
no,
for
she's
her.
hustling, man.
Hustling
she just had a huge
constantly.
career move 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, where she had a great job, but just traveled a lot, and she really loves real estate and things like that. So she quit quit a great job with benefits and all that stuff, and just to be a realtor. And you know, even I was a bit nervous about that, and gave her some criticism, obviously. I know that's hard to believe.
Yeah. I remember when she did it, you were like, I think my lady's going to do this. What do you think? And I'm like, make a run.
But here's the deal. She used that. She used my criticism to fuel her fire. And now she's like, hey, screw you, buddy.
Right, here's what I got.
When
Where
are you
at?
Catch up?
Where are you at? Good for you.
So she's been killing it. I'm proud of her. But no, to answer your question about retirement, I mean, we see ourselves, you know, being in a position where we can just do what we want, whether that's racing and I'm always going to be in racing to some fashion. Maybe I'm not always going to be under the car getting brake rotor burns on my forearms, but I'm going to be in there at some capacity. I love the sport. I've been around it my whole life, and I love watching kids be able to do what I couldn't because I didn't have the budget at the time.
Sure.
I love being able to give them what I've learned and teach them how to do it, and then seeing them succeed is this much under doing it myself. You know.
How much does that play into your success, being able to, you know, I know that your dad, you guys, I should say your dad, it's your company together now at this point, like, right, we're past that, but you once in a while, you know, put the helmet on and suit up and go run. And how intricate has that been as far as I always wonder about rental car deals that don't have anybody that can like get in the car and actually drive it. And I think to myself, right, how can that be a winner? It's hard for somebody if somebody can't feel it, right? So we have to rely on different drivers. Blah blah. Blah. How much has that played a role in your deal, right?
I've really done that a lot. Not so much lately because we've had drivers that are great, the Austin Greens, Nolan Pope, people like that, Taylor Gray, that have come through here that can really drive. That I'd rather just say, hey, come over here and test this car for me so I can watch it and we can work on this and get this kid better. 7-8 years ago, I was driving pretty much all of them. Okay, the car's good. Now you need to be able to go this fast or whatever. Now, one thing I've learned about when I race is I don't race enough to dominate or to do as good as what I thought I should be doing.
Sure.
Because I came from racing every week, winning, and just being young and being that guy to now racing 2 or 3 times a year. So I've really, since my daughter's been born, been able, this is something she's really helped me with, is just being able to enjoy it and not really giving a shit and just making sure my family's there, everybody's having fun. She gets to see her daddy race, whether I do good, bad, or indifferent. And what that's done is it's taken a lot of pressure off me, and I've actually run better. I mean, I ran good at Tri-County last time, ran 3rd, and I feel like having her there and just wanting to make it fun for her. And I don't want her to see her dad get out of the car all pissed off and dejected.
Throwing everything.
Yeah, so I want to try to set a good example for her, and I think that's really helped me be a better driver in my later stages of my career, if that's what you want to call it. But basically, I just do it for the fun of it, man. I'm Tim Richmond now.
Wow.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time in the driver's world.
That's okay too, right?
Yeah.
That's okay.
He just wins a lot more than me.
That happens also. We're gonna have. They were thankful for some swag, some hats and shirts and stuff. So we're gonna give them away. We'll put out a giveaway here. Our Crackpot Media team had a huge meeting today, so they've got all this planned out. Lunch cost me $110, just so we're clear on that. I'm waiting to get reimbursed from the other guys on the outside.
Still waiting?
Yeah, never gonna happen.
We had a little victory breakfast this morning. It was almost that. So.
Yeah, good for you, right? Like, that's what they should do. They should win. I appreciate them. They work so hard, where I'm not working that hard all the time. So I appreciate all the dedication.
You guys have done a great job with all this. Bringing people in to see a different side of it that they normally wouldn't see without you.
I think we just got to educate them. That's my biggest thing, right? Like, I didn't realize until I started working the counter and being out front and answering every call that came in here. I just didn't realize that half the people don't know that they don't even have an idea what spindles they have on the car. Yeah. And I say that with tongue in cheek, like it's not their fault. Mm-hmm. Where I could just tell you this. We've had a couple guys that have won some races, bring their cars in here for us to work on. And when that happens, and you see different things that are exceptionally wrong with the car, right? Like, and I'm not putting any of them down. I'm not saying whatever. You start to realize, in my mind, I started thinking, okay, how can this be? And trying to reverse engineer it. And what I kind of realized is if they didn't work for Hendrick, or they didn't work at Ganassi, or they haven't seen these things that other people have seen. So therefore, I have now all of a sudden taken this commitment to, man, if I can educate my customer, then he can be scary. Because right now he's doing really well, but he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know how his ductwork should be. Right, or that his right front's out 120,000, or he doesn't have any idea. So my thought process is if I can educate. No, he's awesome. That's
your NTI guy.
No, right? That's our NTI guy. We're starting a. This is a good time to mention it. Also, we're starting a segment. It's called Chillin' with Chum. He looks like Chum Lee. We hired him. Right? He looks like Chum Lee from the Pawn Stars. He wears Pit Vipers. We'll post up a thing on the when this goes live. We'll post a picture of Chillin' with Chum Lee thumbnail.
Dalton's little brother.
Nah, dude, he's awesome.
The mullet and the Vipers
on. Right, he completely grinds. He's crazy. We're working on his welding. He doesn't get to.
You might have the next Shady right there.
100%, dude. But here's the thing I like about it, and this is the reason why he's here, is he came in and wanted no money, none. He said, "Let me help. Let me see if I can help. Maybe I don't like this." And I was like, "What? I never had nobody do that before." And he was really just wanted to learn how it was. He was from Missouri, dirt racing kid, had been involved. was going to NTI. It's like, man, I've been involved with racing. This really isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. We're not going to the Aerodyne every 2 weeks, right? Like I thought that's what I was signing up for, and we haven't been to a pull down rig yet. I don't know what we're talking about. And he wanted to start working in here, and he's into fabrication. He does a really good job at the fabrication. So, like, I'm telling you, I'm appreciative to have him. He's a great dude. He really works hard. And so we're starting a little thing with him because he's just so Missouri, right? Like, he's just right. So we're going to chilling with Chum, where he does really interesting. He'd be like, "What the people?" It might cost me all my business because people will think that's the guy well known to come.
Then he's also going to work harder because of it for you.
So he's awesome. He's been the first day he didn't want any money. He's like, I just want to work here a little bit. We went out to lunch, everybody, and sitting there, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's no way that I can make him work completely for free and make him buy his own lunch. I felt so terrible. So that's how it started. I'm sure we'll have to shackle him out of here. He's just going to be a racer. He is a racer. He just cares more about the product that he's putting out and getting better every day. And those are the kind of people that I've been fortunate enough to get most of throughout the time. I mean, it's like you guys with drivers, we've been able to have some really good dudes come through this place. I mean, amazing people. And that's, at the end of the day, what it's about, right?
Yeah. Maybe we let Chumley start on the car after you're done with my new
No,
one.
yours is already over there. He doesn't.
Keep Fox on that
Chum is
right now.
Chum is relegated to bumpers only.
Okay.
Yeah, he does only bumpers, and some of those ended up in the giveaway pile that we give to some of the guys that run limited. And
Your
do
bumpers
things.
are disposable anyway.
Exactly
so
right.
That's probably
Exactly
a good
right.
department for him.
Exactly right. Man, I appreciate you guys coming up here, and what do you got? I'm so proud of you, dude. Give us something. What are you gonna do next? What's your next big call to shot? You're winning the fall brawl. What do you think?
I don't believe I'll be winning the fall brawl.
Oh, you're not going?
Nah, won't be there.
Won't be there.
Yeah, we won't be at the fall brawl.
There you go. It
Something
different.
Different, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
just a different year. You know, things happen, and you just do other things.
you just do other things. I understand.
You know.
Well, if there's something you want to hear, we'll link everything below. Reach out to Michael and Lee Faulk Racing if you need some help with some marketing things. MPM, they represent some drivers. I don't know exactly what she's into. Great people down there. I'm sure they can get you set up with whatever you're into. If you need late model stock car stuff or you need some super late model stuff, LFR does a little bit of both and does it pretty well. As you can see by the results, it's a little hard to deny that. And if you want, get Shady to crew chief you. I don't know if you can afford it, but if you can afford it, get Shady to do
golf and silver bullets.
Good for him. Well, we got silver
fruit
bullets.
snacks.
Fruit snacks. You're the man, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, we do consulting, on the side too. We still keep Austin McDaniel's car rolling for him and pull down services, things like that. So if there's anything you guys need, just because you're not driving one of our cars doesn't mean that we might not be able to help you. Definitely want to thank MPM Marketing, Pelican Coolers, Renegade Racing Fuels, PRW Chassis, Upchurch Performance Racing Engines. Who am I forgetting, Shady? Anybody? Russo's Tinning.
They do a good job.
Russo's Tinning, Dynamic Shocks. Brandon, another guy that we've been loyal to since day one. Even when he was at RE, he builds great shocks. He's always kept great shocks in our car, anything we ask him to do. And especially you guys, man. And I want to say this. We've talked to a lot of chassis builders over the years, and believe me, they call. It's the same deal as anything else. They want our business. They see we got 6 cars in the shop. They're not stupid. They know we spend a lot of money on chassis, and we tear a lot of shit up. But I will say this. I've always asked them, like, okay, if I kill a car on Saturday night, how long is before I can get it back? I'm talking graveyard dead, front, rear, clip, body. How long before I get the car back? Well, I don't know. I can't give you an answer. Well, then you can't get my business because I know that Roger is going to make sure that my car is ready to go on Thursday, whether it needs to be from ground up or whatever. I mean, these guys work hard here, and they've done everything.
I don't suggest everybody do that.
No.
That's all I'm going to say. Like,
well, you have to be in a relationship
we're
with somebody
10 years
for
deep in this game
15.
now, right? Yeah.
Go ahead and drop $3 million in 15 years of your life, and then you'll be in that position. No, I'm kidding.
Atree's
Atree's everybody like that.
He doesn't
want bunch of stacking up at his back door is the only reason he's saying
100%.
You guys have been awesome. You get stuff turned around for us, and it's quality work. It's not just shitty thrown together, deal.
I can't have all of them like that. We do a really good deal.
Put him in a bad spot.
You're the reason that we can golf.
And I appreciate that. I actually enjoy some of the banter that I get to share with your dad more than anything. I think that means more to me than many people know, just because so many people shit on me early on, like that we weren't going to be. And your dad was like, "Just get up," just like he just grabbed me and basically threw me out of my own office, and like we were just going to do this, and there was not a hesitation of what was going to happen. There was not a whatever, and that really meant something to me at that time. And I should we do some of the stupid, idiotic things we do? No. But we do try to handle everybody that way. That is definitely true. We've worked really hard. That's why we have 6 clips sitting over there already pre-done, so that when you destroy it, I can one day turn you around, because I know that you need to be at the racetrack for your points championship or your, whatever night it is for you. And sometimes on the backstory of that, so that I get a complete transparency, his new car has suffered because it's not new car season right now. People are trying to race. That one car right back there on that twirly thing is his new car. Well, his father would have liked to have that thing a month ago.
But we definitely work together and understand that.
For sure.
Listen, dude,
for sure.
These guys need clips. They need to finish their season. We don't expect you to put this new car in front of them. We can wait till the off season if we have to wait, and obviously we're not struggling, so we just work on what we got, and when they get it done, they get it done. But if we did have a 911,
for sure,
they would make it happen. And it goes back to, I guess I learned that from my dad, like the relationship, working with people and investing in people, and not an idea or not the trick of the week or whatever, because there's always going to be a trick of the week. There's always going to be a new guy in town. There's always going to be a better car or a better spindle or a better motor or better this, but eventually it's going to all cycle back around. And if you just keep working on what you got, you're going to be better off in the long run. Because we won that race at Florence this week, and we beat, in my opinion, the greatest car owners team in late model racing, Barry Nelson. I mean, he's the Joe Gibbs of racing.
Right, he's firing.
These guys have got engineers. These guys are on laptops going through data. Timmy Peters, probably one of the best, if not the best driver in late model stock in a long time. And we were able to beat them by hard work and gelling together as a team and just working hard on what we had. And, it worked out.
I just think that the normal guy has to be able to work on his stuff. If you have to have a laptop to do it at this stage, you are in deep trouble.
I mean, I understand the
I do
side
too,
of it,
but that's only
that's what they know.
0.001% of it, right?
For them doing that
100%.
is no different than us hanging a string off the side of the car and measuring with a tape measure. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Sure. Yes, I'm not putting that away from them.
No,
I just mean definitely the guy that works at the auto value that wants to buy late model stock, and he goes over here to Tri-County and races. He's not firing his laptop up. He doesn't, we have to just educate him for sure.
And the one difficult and variable that a lot of those people that do that on the engineering side don't comprehend is these racetracks they're not Las Vegas. They're not smooth. There's potholes. There's cracks. There's interval banking. There's all kinds of shit going on. There's drivers that have no experience. They can't hit the same line twice. So all of these 30 seconds and thousandths of measuring.
There's not enough documentation to fill in the gaps you need.
It still comes down to who's holding the wheel and how you can relate to them and teach them how to do that correctly. You can have whatever car you want if you got a good driver. I've always said Josh Berry could get in a Hedgecock, he could get in a PRW, he could get in any car that you got and win the race, because he knows where to be on the racetrack 100 laps out of 100 laps.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's it. We should have beat him 4 or 5 times this year, though, with that 81.
Yeah, dude, that's been super impressive. Believe me, everybody sees that. I mean, Sam has done an excellent job.
He has done a good job. But you know what, many of the people...
long way he's come in a short time.
Yeah, but actually what's weird is a lot of the dads that I talked to that watched him in legend car racing really thought he would be this good in late model racing, and it really surprised me. Asking dads outside, I asked Mr. Jones, Robert Jones, he said, man, I really saw that kid at young. I thought he was really good. I mean, he's gotten multiple accolades from people that, I didn't, I didn't know, but I hadn't spent enough time watching for sure.
I didn't really know him honestly until he started driving for those guys, but just watching what he's done this year, I mean, running Josh and Ryan Millington down and passing them and winning races over there, and he's just gradually gotten better and better and better. And this is another thing that I've noticed is that his qualifying has gotten so much better, and that's really what propelled him from running third to winning, and that's what a lot of kids have a hard time. That's the hardest part of this, in my opinion, is the qualifying.
So you're deep rooted in it, right? Like, I mean, you're as you said earlier, you're 3, 5, 10, $15 million over the course of this thing in it, right?
Yeah.
My question is this: there are a lot of snakes, like so many snakes that we should be in one of those
Here we go.
Raiders of the Lost Ark movies,
Yeah.
right? Like they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
What advice do you give? Because I know parents come to you and are like, "Hey, listen, we're getting offered the triple widget plan for $2,784 a month." How do you advise them then?
I would say you don't, in this sport is maybe one of the businesses that you don't necessarily get what you pay for. I find that a lot of parents that have unlimited budgets think that the more expensive the better, and that's definitely not the case, because they're, I'm not calling anybody out, but there's obviously teams that have an A, B, and C program.
Sure.
They need C to pay for A,
for
to
sure.
cover that, because A doesn't have money, but he has talent. C has the money and no talent.
Right.
They need all that to work, which is what's been, like I told Shady this earlier, this is the best part about that win for me was showing people that we're winning with multiple cars, multiple drivers. It's not just one guy that's carrying the team, and then I got some rich parents that are funding everything.
That's correct.
And so I don't believe that necessarily more expensive the better. We've always actually been a little bit below the average on cost, and at the beginning it was because we had to get whatever we could get, but we just haven't. We're racers at heart. We're not. This isn't about making $1 million for us. We want these kids to be able to afford it and still be able to come back and feel good about spending their money.
Right.
So we have not increased our prices to the prices of the KBMs and things like that, which teams that we're outrunning.
Sure.
And that, it's to us, we like trying to keep it down just because the prices just sound so ridiculous to us sometimes.
A lot of the parents that I get a chance to call me, they that I get a chance to talk to, they worry about crash clauses.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a really sticky point for a lot of parents, especially
That is
because
a tough area.
they're really unknown. They're coming into something new. They don't know if a ball joint costs $74 or $274. So how have you stood out on that instance? I know you guys kind of do some interesting things on that to make it work.
I mean, in our contracts, there's a cap. It just depends on what what car they're in and what they're driving, what class and all that. But and whether it's a super or late model stock. But basically, the way that we've done it is, if you tear a car up on Saturday, it comes to PRW. Roger Johnson sends me an invoice. I forward the invoice to mom and dad. Mom and dad pays the invoice before we go back to the track. No hard feelings. Everybody's on the up and up. We don't get 3 crashes behind to where they can't afford it, and we go on about our business. And that's been and there's no, no payment or escrow or none of that stuff. I mean, it's either you pay it or we don't race.
We don't race.
Yeah.
Something interesting I remember early on, and I cannot remember who it was for the life of me. I think it may have been the Dallenbeck girl, but I'm not sure. A car got destroyed, and I remember your father coming in here and saying it was a completely destroyed car. Like, it had gone, and your dad said, well, that's not how we do it. We have an X amount of number, and that's where we go. And I always found that intriguing, that your family was that committed to the business that we weren't going to try to blast you for every single dollar. We understand sometimes that things go so much further than what they can go, that I found that intriguing, that you were like, well, we don't want this to happen, you don't want this to happen, but we also know that we can't strangulate you to where you can't race again.
Well, and that's what we did. As far as the cap goes, we figured a number to where we could buy a chassis, a bare chassis, and put our labor in it for free. Get all the parts that we need if they destroyed the whole car and still break even. And that's where I think we're different than a lot of people. Like, we don't make any money on these crash bills. Some people do. I mean, and I don't hate on them for that, because it's their time. It's their time and effort that's put into fixing the cars. They deserve to make money, but that's just not what we do. I mean, we just, I don't know. Because we've been on the other side of it. I've torn up a lot of cars in my day and had to pay for them. Me and my dad have had to fix them, and we've seen these families that have, are putting all their money behind their kid, or most of their money, and they really need to make it work. And we have a heart. We're not just strictly business all the time.
Because you were that dad and that kid that were putting all your money behind it to try to make it work, right? Like, that's just the way it works.
So we work with them. I mean, whether it's trying to save them money on parts, or doing something at the shop that we can do there if we have time, whether hanging a body or whatever, to where it saves them a couple $1,000s labor or whatever.
A couple of those, right, where you brought me one and you took one, trying to get them done, where
well,
things were tore up, right?
Like, those are bad weeks.
No, for sure, but it's not like you didn't go to the racetrack, right?
No,
you figured out a way to get a bunch of stuff done.
We had that deal a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
After Carteret, we had to do that, and it worked out. And
I got mine done first.
Yeah, he did. I will say, Shady was quick to the draw. That was the fastest I've ever seen Shady put a body on.
That's it. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
He was ready to go. Well, I've kept you guys long enough, man. I appreciate you coming and
awesome, dude.
coming up. We'll do whatever we can. We'll link everything below. If you quarter midget kid, legend car kid, I'm sure you understand how I've raced. You've seen me racing somewhere, good, bad, or indifferent. I really wanted my customers and myself. I really want to win. That's just a really big, intricate part for me. I don't think there's any other way. And these guys do it. So if something they can help you with, if you need to get to me to get to them, whatever, just get to them. Reach out, ask some questions. If you're mom and dad that are scared because you're not racers, send them a direct message. I mean, you don't have to talk to them on the phone. It's not like they're going to belittle you for their program. The good part about these guys is, I think he's shown it through this podcast, is he's just going to straightforward. They're going to tell you what you need. They would like to do business with you, but I don't think they need your money in order to operate. So they would like to have your business and like to work with your kid, but it needs to be the right fit for them also. They have a pretty good reputation. You don't really win that many races by not having a decent reputation of what your business is about.
We got to win one more this year, though. We had a goal, and we're one short. We're almost the whole wall of the shop. There's one banner spot left at the end.
Good for
and
you.
That was the beginning of the year. That was Shady, and mine's goal was to fill the wall. And so we got to go. We got 4 or 5 more races.
I've heard a bunch of promoters through. That seems to be the people that are calling today. Bunch of promoters talking about possibly doing some winter series, multiple race winter series. So you might get your opportunity.
Yeah, might as well just race around the clock, 24/7, 365.
It's kind of been the talk,
My
to be really honest with
my
you.
old lady's not gonna like that.
No.
December 12th.
Shady's getting married. I'm in the wedding.
Oh,
so
good for you, Shady.
that weekend we're not racing, no matter what.
No matter what happens.
No, we got a bachelor
that'd
party
be good
too,
for you.
so we're gonna have to do that deal. Maybe a couple weeks. It might take
Yeah.
a couple weeks off to recover from that.
Does she know? She blind too?
She's definitely blind.
Yeah, she's definitely blind.
She
She
got
has
glasses
vision
too,
problems.
so she's like legit blind, maybe.
Yeah,
Love her to death, though.
that's good. She's cool with
Saw
that.
that.
I mean, it takes a hard. What kind of hard dudes to love, to be real honest. I mean, you just put in the time. There's things. Like my wife laughs. How would I know every Friday and Saturday and some Sundays, like, you're just gonzo. Like, well, this is a great time right here. Like, all of our friends are going to wineries doing. Me and I talked to you a couple Sundays ago, right? Like, it's Pumpkin Day, right? So we're gonna go to a place here.
Let's go pick apples. Pay $100 to pick apples, so we can go to Food Line and get them for 99 cents a pound.
He and I just ended up talking that day. I'm like, my wife's. I gotta go. We're gonna go to a place and pick apples and do whatever. Right? Like, so, but that's a hard thing for a younger guy. That's. I don't have anybody in here that's married, and I'm thankful for that. Not in a bad, right? But it's a lot of work.
Kidless, so I mean that helps. And
we try to take Sundays off. I mean, it's hard enough, doing what we're doing 6 days a week.
For sure. Southern National don't. He wants to race on Sunday.
Yeah, it's tempting. Believe me, it's tempting to go.
He wants that Josh Berry money.
Yeah. It's tempting to go there, but it's we're going to have a day off. It is what it is.
How bad do you think the cheat? Well, I got to ask you this before you get off here, because it's been a topic of conversation between promoters today that have called me. I think all these guys think there's this rampant cheating going on, right? And I think there are some people that bend the rules and do things to a degree, but I think there has been that since I've been a little boy. It's not like that's brand new, right? Like, do you think it's out of control?
I don't think it's any different than it's ever been. I think there's just more spotlight on it. Yeah, there's a lot of cheating out there. I think it's conservative to say half the field's got trash control, to be honest with you.
Wow, that far.
Yeah, and I don't care saying it because
I've
always been the guy that's been against it, and it is what it is. I mean, when you leave pit road and you can't spin a tire, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean,
something's going on.
Yeah.
Right, something's going on.
I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've never been able to figure that carburetor trick out where your carburetor just stutters at the perfect spot every corner.
And there are definitely a few.
Oh, there's guys out there, and it's not. But to me, on the other side of that, like, I'm against that. But on the other side of that, what's really cheating? Because I mean, what is it? If they're not going to police it, is it really cheating?
Right.
I mean,
I don't think they know how to police it.
well, I mean, you can stop it.
Yeah. I definitely.
If there's people smart enough to make a car tire not spin on full acceleration, there's people smart enough to make something that would jam that signal
For
or
sure. Or
stop
do
that.
something, right? Or find it or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's not a big deal. I mean, I honestly don't care because I don't think it really helps that much.
I could tell you.
Your car's got to be good for
I
that
could
to
tell you
even
that
matter.
there was some people that brought their car in here and it had, like, I saw it with my own eye.
I've seen them.
And I was like, I didn't see
we
that
never
coming.
would have thought
Didn't
that
see
guy,
that
right?
guy having
and
it.
then, so then I started like getting way more nosy. So then I started kind of looking at more of the wiring for a lot of cars that I hadn't looked at before, and I'm like,
You know the easiest
and then
way
I
to
started seeing it more and more, and I thought, wow, I would have not said 50%, but I would have definitely said that I have personally, with my own eyes, seen it in a few cars.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little high, but I just feel like there's a lot of it. I mean, but
And
no
they
different.
were cars that run good is what makes me the maddest of all the
Yeah.
mads. I'm like,
I know.
dude, no way, bro.
That's what I
Like,
mean. I don't.
work
I
on
don't-
your stuff.
You got to have your stuff going for that to even make a difference. And I think one way to definitely tell who grew up racing like that, if you just look at the higher levels, look at the kids that dominate on this level, and then get to the next level and can't hit their ass.
Yeah.
Or spin out every race, or
Yeah.
and then there you go. Well, that's pretty much it. But I don't know though. That's been going on since I've been racing, dude. I mean, they've had nitrous and traction control since the Gary Ballou and Dick Anderson days, back in the old
Tire
days.
soak.
Yeah, all the way back to the bootlegging days. I mean, that's just it's what NASCAR is. I mean, they make a rule book to be picked apart.
Marlo told me about some thing they did years ago that they could move the lead inside the
dude.
rail,
Yeah.
right? Like I saw these crazy deals.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all. We races where a car got wrecked at Orlando Speed World one night and mercury drains out of the frame rails onto the racetrack. They shut us down. EPA comes in there. Guy gets banned for life from the racetrack. There's mercury all over the track where he had it in tubes going through the frame rails, left side weight. And I mean, I've growing up around people like Gary Ballou. I don't know, much about Gary Ballou.
Yeah.
I was a young kid, and when Gary was the man, still is the man in my opinion, one of the
Still
best
is the
drivers
man.
ever lived. But he told me a lot of stories, and it's a lot of crazy shit, man. They would, like you said, pump lead left to right, move things on a worm gear in the car, like rear ends moving out, widening out, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, damn, how did y'all have so much time to sit
do it?
down in the shop and figure all this out, But I've just always tried to concentrate on what I got to work with, and obviously I get all I can get, what we can get, and if the scales are off 30 pounds from one track to the next, of course I'm going to take advantage of that. But I mean, as far as like just blatantly cheating in our business, you can't do that because once you get caught and you're trying to develop a kid, and how do you explain that,
Yeah, your brand takes a hit, right?
Does
Like
take a little
that's
hit.
the thing. I think that a lot of people that racers get upset because they say, "Man, these rental car kids are coming out here and ruining this and ruining that." And I think to myself sometimes, not to bash them, definitely, but I think to myself on the other side of it, like, you don't understand, they really can't do that because the problem is if you're a rental agency that gets X amount of thousands of dollars every week to run their car, and you present a car in tech, like, them parents are pissed.
What are you really doing?
Right.
I mean, are you developing or are you cheating?
Right. Did we pay you all that money to do that? Right. Like, so I think
Anybody could do that, right? No rule book.
I think to myself that the local racer in that instance doesn't have any idea of the pressure that goes along with the fact of, a 12, 13, 14. I've heard some crazy numbers of people getting to go to some of these races up to the almost $20,000, and that's a lot of people and a lot of money getting manipulated in there to get caught in some way that they shouldn't.
I agree.
Could be devastational to a business. I mean, it
Definitely doesn't make the kid look good.
at all. It doesn't make anybody look good, right? So I think that's where we have to stick more to the line. But let's drink beer. Let's turn this thing off and drink beer. I appreciate
Sounds
you guys
good.
coming
Thanks,
in.
guys. Thank you for
And
everything.
appreciate to our media guy for hanging out with us tonight, drinking a Red's Apple Ale, I think, or something. I don't know. But check us out. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe. Check it out. We'll see what we can do to help these guys out. Have a good night.
Thank you.
See.